Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. On behalf of the Northern English Language Teachers Collaboration Network Sabah, or NELCoNS, I'd like to welcome all of you to tonight's Community of Practice session. This webinar is part of our ongoing series of NELCoNS webinars, where we aim to share best practices, classroom strategies, and practical insights to support English teachers in the Northern Zone and beyond. Tune in to Success, Winning Strategies for SPM Listening. That is the title of our talk for tonight. A very timely talk considering that our students will be having listening tests in 2 weeks' time. So hence, I believe that this session will offer valuable input for all of us. So before we begin, let me share how the session will be conducted. We will have 45 minutes of presentation by our guest speaker, and this will then be followed by a 15 minutes question and answer or Q&A session. So if you have any questions while our speaker is delivering the talk, please type them in the live chat and we will address them during the Q&A session after the talk. At the end of the session, we will share the registration form link for your attendance record. Please make sure to fill it in. We also ask that you write your reflection in the Padlet. This is very important as it shows active participation and help us strengthen our NELCoNS activities. And lastly, don't forget to follow NELCoNS Facebook page for updates on our upcoming webinars in this series. Now, let's get to know our speaker. So this is the 6th episode of the ongoing NELCoNS webinar series. Our invited speaker this evening is Madam Hii Wei Wei. Please welcome Madam Hii Wei Wei.
Hello.
Hi, Madam Hii. So this is our speaker for tonight. Madam Hii is currently teaching in SMK Bintulu, which is her alma mater. She is a Guru Cemerlang Bahasa Inggeris for secondary school and has taught English for 8 years since 2017. Her interest is in development of teaching aids. We are very honored to have her tonight. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, please join me in welcoming Madam Hii Wei Wei.
Hi. So now I just take over, right? Okay.
Yes. So how are you tonight, Madam?
Yeah, doing okay. I just had dinner.
Good for you. So what can we expect from the session tonight, Madam?
For the session tonight, I'll be sharing the tips and tricks for each part of the listening test, because for each part of the test, we focus on different things. So pupils must really know what they should focus on. Instead of just listening blindly, they must know exactly what they should listen for. So through this session, I hope that they can learn about it.
That is exciting. So without further ado, I now hand the session over to our speaker, Madam Hii, to share her insight on how we can help our SPM students to ace in their listening test through Tune In to Success Winning Strategies for SPM Listening. So Madam Hii, the stage is yours.
All right, so allow me to share screen first. Are we looking at the slideshow? So I just continue on, yeah? All right.
Yeah, yes, Madam.
Okay, sorry. All right, so so for this session, so we are heavily focused on listening only. So without wasting much time, let us just continue on. Sorry for the stuttering. All right, so as mentioned by Puan Carmella just now, so this is my school. Yes, you can see, quite nice, quite colorful. This is just the entrance. Okay, so now let's just continue on. So obviously the agenda for tonight, the tips and tricks for the listening paper, the 4th paper of our English paper. Okay, So for the listening test, as we all know, for especially the Form 5 students, they should know very well that it's sectioned into 4 parts. So each part tests different things. For the 7 questions in part 1, they focus on 7 bursts of speeches. So each of it, they will expose you to either 1 or 2 speakers. And then for part 2, usually the practices that we can find in the market, and also especially the FCE, the Cambridge English First, our SPM is closely related to that, the practices. The practices are usually spoken by 2 speakers. But I've asked the past alumni, my previous Form 5 students, they say most of the time it's actually 1 person talking. So we can see the difference there. So students, pupils must know that there's a difference there, but we'll go into it deeper later. And then for part 3, 5 questions, very short speeches revolving around 1 topic only. We'll see later. And then for the last 10 questions, to fill in the blanks based on a one very long conversation between 2 speakers. This one mainly tests their spelling. If they can't spell, unfortunately, that they can't score it. So this part here is what I want to highlight right now. So only 21 to 30 are written in the space, others are darkened. Let us just look at the sample answer sheet of the SPM. Usually, it's 40 questions embedded in 1 page. This is something that you will see, and it's something that the pupils will be using for both reading and listening paper. So I always tell my students, okay, that only 1 for listening only, 1 to 20 is darkened, 21 to 21 to 30 is written down. Okay, ignore that, sorry. So always remember, pupils, you can only use pencil. Please use pencil only. And suggested tonight, perhaps you might want to check your pencil is dark enough or not. It has to be able to cover the words in the blanks. Okay, and then some pupils, they tend to stack their hand on the answer paper, but they fold it against the edge of the table. We always remind that please don't do that, because you will accidentally fold the paper, which may lead to problems when it's scanned by the machine later on. So please don't do that. And also don't scrunch the paper for no reasons. Don't scrunch it. And obviously, at the end of the recording, you have 6 minutes to transfer the answers. And some pupils like to ask this question: can I use a pen, teacher? I would say no, better don't. You see, what if you write down the word and then you realize, using a pen, and you realize that you spelled it wrongly, and then you cross it out, you write it down, and then you realize, oh, it's wrong again, and then you cross it out. You don't have a space to write anymore. So that's why we always tell the pupils, please use pencil only, because you can rub the answer off, you can write down the answer that you think is the correct one. So please, reminder, only 1 to 20 is darkened, 21 to 30 is written down. Use pencil only. Check if it's dark enough or not. Do not fold the paper. Don't accidentally scrunch it. 6 minutes to transfer the answer, so no rush. Do it slowly. Do it carefully. All right, now let's move on to part 1. Okay, so for part 1, each question, it's either a monologue, usually it's over the phone, or I'm calling to talk about this, either it's that, or it's a conversation between 2 speakers. Usually it covers up to 5 up to 8 sentences. And remember, we listen for details, not listen for the rough idea, but we listen in detail. What exactly is going on? And for part 1, you have 30 seconds to read through the questions before you start listening. Common mistake done by pupils: they don't they don't read. They waste the 30 seconds doing nothing. You're supposed to be using this 30 seconds time to either you circle or you bring a highlighter in, you highlight the keywords, okay, in both the question and the answer. So let's look at an example here. Okay, so I'll be playing the audio later, but let's look at the question first. You hear 2 sports journalists talking about a tennis player who is retiring. So what do they agree about the tennis player? So he will look for opportunities to work on TV. He will likely start a new career as a coach. He has chosen to stop playing at the right time. So what I mentioned just now, we are supposed to, you either underline, highlight. Okay, so for example, so here, the keyword in both the question and answer. So what do they agree? Both speakers agree on something about the tennis player, whether he wants to work on TV or whether he wants to start a career as a coach, new career, or he has chosen to stop playing at the right time. So 30 seconds for you to read through fast 7 questions. All right, so let's try. After the audio is done playing, I encourage that pupils, you type down the correct answer and then we cross-check and then let's see whether you get the correct answer or not. Okay, so let's try.
Have you heard? Jacob Mayers has announced he's retiring from tennis.
Yes, I'm a bit surprised.
I suppose, with all his recent injuries, it's only sensible to give up.
Well, when I interviewed him, he expressed the intention of continuing for another 2 years. Still, he's so committed to tennis. I suspect he's planning to come back and train the next generation of tennis stars.
There's certainly a shortage of trainers at the moment. He knows he'd be in demand.
Or he might be hoping to present the tennis on television. That pays very well.
Oh, but he doesn't need the money, and he's always said he's camera shy. Have you heard? Jacob Mayers has announced he's retiring from tennis.
Yes, I'm a bit surprised.
I suppose, with all his recent injuries, it's only sensible to give up.
Well, when I interviewed him, he expressed the intention of continuing for another 2 years. Still, he's so committed to tennis. I suspect he's planning to come back and train the next generation of tennis stars.
There's certainly a shortage of trainers at the moment. He knows he'd be in demand.
Or he might be hoping to present the tennis on television. That pays very well.
Oh, but he doesn't need the money, and he's always said he's camera shy.
All right, so pupils, what do you think is the answer? So he mentioned that, or she mentioned first, he's going to stop playing, right? And then he said that he interviewed him before, and then he's going to come back to train the next generation, right? Then she continued saying that they would need more coach or trainers. And then he mentioned that they work on TV, and then she mentioned that he's shy. So here we are looking for the agreement. I think it's quite obvious that the answer is B-boy. He will likely start a career as a new coach. Okay, so some pupils might say, teacher, the audio just now is a bit fast. I can only tell you that is the speed that we are looking at, that you will be exposed to in the real SPM. That is the pace. You have to listen fast. You have to catch the ideas. If you roughly catch the idea in the first round of the playing, you must get it in the second round. That is how fast it is. Trust me, that is how fast it is. Unless, I heard last year, previous years before this, it was quite fast. Last year, they slowed it down, but we never know what this year it is returned back to the faster pace. So I'm suggesting to you right now, you still have to catch up to that pace. Yeah. All right. So let's continue on. So just now we are looking at the agreement. What do the two speakers agree to? And now we have to interpret. We have to guess the attitude of this speaker towards something. So now let's read. You hear a man talking about crime fiction. So what is his attitude to crime novels now? It could be that before this he had a different opinion, and now his attitude towards crime novels, what does he think about it? Okay, he thinks they are a useful distraction from something. He prefers to buy only one crime novel at a time. As we know, some friends, they buy 10 novels at the same time, right? Okay, we don't know. Right, and then C, he finds them less memorable than other types of novels. Here, the answer means that as compared to other novels, I don't really remember this one as well. Not as memorable as other types. Romance, whatever it is. All right. So now let's try. Okay, let's try the second audio.
I got into crime fiction while I was doing voluntary work in Nepal. There wasn't much to do in the evenings, and I quickly ran out of paperbacks to read. Someone sent me an e-reader, so I downloaded dozens of crime novels, but I barely read a tenth of them. Today I read all sorts of novels, but I never buy crime stories. The thing is, I lost interest in them. I'd go so far as to say they're repetitive. After I finished one, I recall hardly any of what I've read because it was too similar to stories I've read before. I know other people find them immensely satisfying. I got into crime fiction while I was doing voluntary work in Nepal. There wasn't much to do in the evenings, and I quickly ran out of paperbacks to read. Someone sent me an e-reader, so I downloaded dozens of crime novels, but I barely read a tenth of them. Today I read all sorts of novels, but I never buy crime stories. The thing is, I lost interest in them. I'd go so far as to say they're repetitive. After I finished one, I recall hardly any of what I've read because it was too similar to stories I've read before. I know other people find them immensely satisfying.
All right. I think there was a defining sentence, right? Remember, he said that I don't really remember as much, right, as compared to other novels. So I think quite obvious. The answer is C. He finds them less memorable than other types of novel. All right. I hope everyone got it right. Okay, we continue on. So, the first one, the agreement, what the two speakers agree to, and then what was the just now speaker's attitude towards something. So for the third type of questions that we commonly see in part one would be the action. What are they doing? So based on what they are talking about, you must guess what they are doing. So you hear two friends discussing their plans for the weekend. What is the man doing? So what is that man doing? You have to guess it. So A, he's trying to persuade his friend to take up cycling. Meaning, hey, let's try cycling. This is what it meant here. Okay, recommending a new cycle route to his friend. Maybe usually you ride this route, and he's saying that, okay, this weekend, let's try that route instead. Could be. Or he's trying to invite his friend to come join me, accompany me, join me on this cycle ride. It's quite similar, but you have to listen exactly. Which one is the exact answer? Right, let's go.
What are you up to this weekend, Mark?
Picking up my new bike tomorrow, then taking it out on the road. I want to see how it performs on the hills.
Fantastic. I need to get out on my bike more at weekends. Cycling a kilometre into town to go shopping isn't proper exercise.
Well, you're welcome to join me. I won't be going all that fast.
I still wouldn't be able to keep up with you. But thanks anyway. Perhaps you could suggest some easy rides for me to start with.
Okay, I'll have a think and let you know.
What are you up to this weekend, Mark?
Picking up my new bike tomorrow, then taking it out on the road. I want to see how it performs on the hills.
Fantastic. I need to get out on my bike more at weekends. Cycling a kilometre into town to go shopping isn't proper exercise.
Well, you're welcome to join me. I won't be going all that fast.
I still wouldn't be able to keep up with you. But thanks anyway. Perhaps you could suggest some easy rides for me to start with.
Okay, I'll have a think and let you know.
All right. So I think, again, there was one defining sentence because he mentioned that you are welcome to join me. So obviously the answer here is C, to invite his friend, come join me on this cycle ride. All right. So now I will only be showing 4 examples for tonight because we don't have enough time. But these are the more common 4 types of questions you will see in part 1. So for the last type, it would be to interpret the feeling. I find that pupils, they can't really score this question well. But I guess it depends on how matured you are because all of us, we perceive things differently. So what I think of this might be different from how you think of it. So this one, because we have a lot of test run with my pupils, they did not score for this type of questions, but it's okay. It's okay. So just try our best. All right. So you hear a woman talking about crossword puzzles. All right. So how does she feel about doing them? So when you do the crossword puzzles, what do you feel? I mean, for this woman, let's just listen. Yeah. Okay. So for the first one, A, relax. She feels relaxed if she's focused on the crossword, right? Or is it excited because she can solve all the clues correctly, or she's satisfied that she's exercising her brain? Each different. Relaxed, excited, or satisfied. Right, so let's try.
I've been doing crosswords on and off since I was a teenager, but in recent years, I've started to get real pleasure from making this a part of my daily routine. Having said that, I'm not one of those people who keep going for hours until they've completed the whole crossword. I see it more as a really good way to keep fit mentally, and it improves my word power. Some people do crosswords as a way to de-stress, to switch off from everything around them. But that doesn't really work for me. I've been doing crosswords on and off since I was a teenager, but in recent years, I've started to get real pleasure from making this a part of my daily routine. Having said that, I'm not one of those people who keep going for hours until they've completed the whole crossword. I see it more as a really good way to keep fit mentally, and it improves my word power. Some people do crosswords as a way to de-stress, to switch off from everything around them. But that doesn't really work for me.
Right. So along the what she said, she already denied that she's not gonna go for it for hours, right? So obviously this one's wrong already. And then she did mention that it's a good way to exercise the brain. Sorry, what was the exact word? But something about exercising the brain. And then some see it as a way to relax. And then she said not for her. So I think quite obvious the answer is C, right? Okay. So I think that's it for part 1. So part 1, the reminder. Sorry, let me just go back to the reminder here. So it's usually a monologue by one person, as we listened just now to the third question about the crime novel, only one person talking, or it's 2 people talking to each other and then you need to guess the answer. It's usually 5 to 8 sentences, and you have 30 seconds to read through the questions. Again, reminder, do not waste the 30 seconds. Whoa. Okay, let's continue. Sorry. Now we continue on to part 2. Okay. usually for SPM, I've asked the seniors, okay, the senior students, the SPM leavers. Most of them told me what they listen is usually, for part 2 especially, is usually a monologue, one person talking only, meaning you imagine there are 8 questions, you have to track correctly one after another. If you miss and then you don't move on, it'll be a problem. So that's why especially for this part, you must circle or highlight the keyword. If you miss and you don't move on, you will miss a lot of answers. So that's why I recommend the 1 minute you read through fast. You read through because it's going to be very long. You must read through. Do not waste that 1 minute. Circle or highlight the keywords. If you don't, you'll miss it. Not to say I guarantee, but just saying you must keep up because it doesn't wait for you. If you miss it, sorry, it's gone already. All right. So, but due to time constraint for tonight, I'll be playing half of the audio only. So we just look at half of the questions, 8 to 11 only. The rest of it, I'll be providing practices after this. But for now, let's just look at 1 to 11. Sorry, 8 to 11. All right. Now, so for this part 2, this particular set of questions, it focuses on Jamie. Okay, so just let me read through the question. When Jamie was a recipe tester, so he decided to write a recipe book because he was persuaded by a colleague that the book would do very well. Okay, this is the keyword here. Keywords. Okay, persuaded by a colleague his book would do well, or he thought that his own recipes were better. That sounds a bit proud of himself. All right. Or he knew he had a good understanding of what makes a successful recipe. All right. So each of it focuses on different things. So this one would have the colleague convincing him, or his own recipes were better, or he has an understanding of what makes a successful recipe different. Yeah. All right. So what was Jamie's co-workers' opinion towards his recipe book? Now, you might find these 3 words very foreign. Oh, teacher, what is this? You must know, these are very common words in SPM. Indifferent here means that you don't really care about it. Okay, like someone fell in front of you and then you just look at the person falling down. You're like, oh, okay, oh, they're jatuh. That is indifferent. You don't really feel anything for that person, right? Or B, the coworker is supportive. He's like, go ahead. This book will sell well. Is it that? Or C, the coworker is very disapproving. That book's not gonna do well. Are you sure you want to do it? That kind of attitude. All right. So later you have to listen. Next, so how did Jamie succeed in getting a book deal with a publisher? So how did he get a book deal with a publisher? Okay. Now, whether he found an agent who helped him or he had a useful contact. This is very different. Be careful. When an agent is someone that is specifically doing this type of work. Like, for example, your school has a hari koperasi, and then you want to buy 1,000 keropok to sell. So there's a specific someone that is an agent to the keropok company. You approach a person to get the keropok. That is agent. But if it's a useful contact, it's like a friend that you know, and then you contact the person. He helps you to connect you to the right people. A and B is slightly different. All right. Okay. And C, whether he wrote to every publisher of food books. Okay. Different. Yeah. All right. And for the last question that we'll be covering for part 2. So what aspect of writing the book did Jamie find most challenging? Which is the hardest? Which part? Whether it's to spend time shopping for ingredients, or whether it's to practice the same recipe many times. Like you want to make sambal, you have to cook 1,000 times to get the right one. Okay, whether, or it is C, to research background information to include about his recipe. Like for example, we talk about sambal, you have to, certain people when they create this recipe book, they want it to have very local information. It's the background information of it. All right, so I think we are ready. Again, a reminder, I only cover half tonight because we have time constraints. All right, so let's try it.
Today I'm talking to Jamie Cole, who's just had his first recipe book published. Jamie, thanks for coming along to talk about your experience of writing your book, My Kitchen Recipes.
You're welcome. And thanks for mentioning the title.
What made you want to write the book?
I was working for a food magazine, not as a writer, but as a tester of recipes. You know, trying out recipes to check they work before printing them in the magazine. I'd always enjoyed creating my own recipes at home, not necessarily with great results, but my job gave me an in-depth knowledge of how and why recipes work, and I felt sure I could write something people would want to buy. My co-worker, Allison, said, "Jamie, it's not worth it." But I went ahead anyway.
So as a first-time writer, was it easy to get a book deal?
I couldn't have been luckier, to be honest. The usual approach involves hiring an agent to try and get you a contract with a publisher of recipe books. But I talked to my editor at the food magazine about the concept for my book, and she was so impressed she put me in touch with a publishing company straight away. I was really grateful to her.
That was lucky. Was it hard to sit down and write a whole book of recipes?
Well, I'd already done most of my research, which made the actual writing process shorter. It was hard sitting at a desk typing on my computer for hours, and because I had to try out each recipe several times as a kind of quality check, I was forever making trips to the supermarket to restock my fridge and cupboard. That was the toughest thing, because I found it so monotonous, and I was always impatient to get back to my kitchen, where I'm happiest.
And since the launch, you've been...
All right, so I'll play, sorry, I'll stop it right now, and then I replay the part of the audio that we'll focus on tonight.
Today I'm talking to Jamie Cole, who's just had his first recipe book published. Jamie, thanks for coming along to talk about your experience of writing your book, My Kitchen Recipes.
You're welcome, and thanks for mentioning the title.
What made you want to write the book?
I was working for a food magazine, not as a writer, but as a tester of recipes. You know, trying out recipes to check they work before printing them in the magazine. I'd always enjoyed creating my own recipes at home, not necessarily with great results, but my job gave me an in-depth knowledge of how and why recipes work, and I felt sure I could write something people would want to buy. My co-worker, Allison, said, "Jamie, it's not worth it." But I went ahead anyway.
So as a first-time writer, was it easy to get a book deal?
I couldn't have been luckier, to be honest. The usual approach involves hiring an agent to try and get you a contract with a publisher of recipe books. But I talked to my editor at the food magazine about the concept for my book, and she was so impressed she put me in touch with a publishing company straight away. I was really grateful to her.
That was lucky. Was it hard to sit down and write a whole book of recipes?
Well, I'd already done most of my research, which made the actual writing process shorter. It was hard sitting at a desk typing on my computer for hours, and because I had to try out each recipe several times as a kind of quality check, I was forever making trips to the supermarket to restock my fridge and cupboard. That was the toughest thing, because I found it so monotonous, and I was always impatient to get back to my kitchen, where I'm happiest.
And since the launch, you've been...
All right, so now for the pupils, you can try typing the answers down, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we cross-check with my answers later. All right, so I will show the answers right now. So the interviewer, as we call her, she asked why he decided to write the recipe book. He did mention that he was working for a food magazine, right? And he tries out his recipes at home and he does not have good result. Hence why we know that B is not the answer. A was not mentioned here. A was not mentioned here. But actually A was mentioned, right? Because the colleague said, Jamie, it's not worth it. So obviously we know that A is also not the answer. And then he mentioned that his job gave him this in-depth knowledge of what he should put in for a good recipe. So yes, C is the answer for 8. And number 9, as I mentioned just now, the co-worker said, Jamie, it's not worth it. Obviously, we know then it's disapproving. It's just like, oh yeah, it's not going to work out. Are you sure? Right. And then for 10, how did Jamie succeed in getting a book deal? So he mentioned that he talked to his editor, meaning someone he knows from the food magazine, and then she connected him to this publishing company. So obviously, B is the answer here. And also for 11, ABC, the correct answer is actually A, because he mentioned that, oh, I'm forever making trips to the supermarket, restocking, because he had to try the recipes many times. So to him, going to the market is monotonous or it's very boring, as he mentioned. So this is what you should look out for in part 2. Just now, it's an example of a two-person conversation. But for SPM, remember, as mentioned by the senior pupils, okay, your seniors, they mentioned that teacher is a monologue, meaning just now you would know if the speaker speaks, you know it's the next question already, but not for SPM because you have to catch up. Again, reminder, please highlight or circle or underline the keywords so that you know exactly, oh, this is the next question already. Oh, this is the next question already. You have to catch up. 1 minute to read through. Please circle the keywords. All right, now we move on to part 3. Part 3, there are 5 short monologues. Oh, never mind. Okay, and then there should be, you should be listening to 5 long or 8 slightly short sentences, but it's very confusing, all right? And then we listen for details. We don't listen for gist. Actually, it's the same for all parts. You listen for these small, minute details, not the main idea of the whole thing. And then 30 seconds to read through the questions before we start listening. I always remind the students, you circle the keyword in the question, the top there, and also for the answers provided. As we can see here for this example, what you must do for this part is you must look at what is the main theme or the topic of this entire part. If it's about camping trip, then you should listen exactly, because usually the speaker one, he can talk about A, B, and C, but only one of this is related to camping trips. The journey there make me want to go camping again. So there are certain things they say in a confusing way that it makes you think 1 or 2 times, is that the answer? How come I listen? I think both are the answers. Saya macam dengar dua-dua jawapan. That is the common mistake my students always do. They get confused because they don't go and find out what is the main idea they need to look for. Related to what? Related to camping trips. Please, for this part, this is the first thing you must do. Not to read the answers first, but to check what is the main theme for this question. Okay, now let us continue on. So A, it was more comfortable than I had thought, the camping trip, And B, it made me want to go camping again. I want to go again. Wow. Or it brought the family closer together. It's easy to choose the good campsite. Cost less than the usual holidays. Made me feel healthier, brought back happy memories, or it's a good way to relax. Okay, each of it is, some will say, teacher, some of it sounds similar, like A and H sounds similar, more comfortable to relax. It's actually very different. Each of it is very different. So we must know exactly what we are looking for. For tonight, because we have time constraints, so I just play 2 speakers only. Yeah.
Speaker 1.
My parents and I went camping as a family for the first time this summer. I was home on vacation from college because I couldn't afford to go traveling with my college friends and didn't have anything else to do. My mom had done her research and picked a campsite near a lake and a forest with a huge network of trails. And while my parents chilled out by the lake every day, I spent the whole week mountain biking. It did wonders for my fitness levels. Still, it would have been nice to have had a hot bath in the evening.
Speaker 2. I went camping this summer as part of my holiday job, accompanying a group of children from the city on a multi-activity sports holiday. I got paid for it, which was fortunate as it wasn't actually a holiday for me. I loved all the fresh air though, and cooking on the barbecue was great fun. When I next have a break, I'll be certain to go back, only this time with my best friend rather than a group of lively 8-year-olds. They couldn't sleep at night because they hadn't brought a proper camping mat to lie on and suitable clothes to keep them warm during the night.
All right, so replaying the first 2 speakers.
Speaker 1.
My parents and I went camping as a family for the first time this summer. I was home on vacation from college because I couldn't afford to go traveling with my college friends and didn't have anything else to do. My mom had done her research and picked a campsite near a lake and a forest with a huge network of trails. And while my parents chilled out by the lake every day, I spent the whole week mountain biking. It did wonders for my fitness levels. Still, it would have been nice to have had a hot bath in the evening.
Speaker 2. I went camping this summer as part of my holiday job, accompanying a group of children from the city on a multi-activity sports holiday. I got paid for it, which was fortunate as it wasn't actually a holiday for me. I loved all the fresh air though, and cooking on the barbecue was great fun. When I next have a break, I'll be certain to go back, only this time with my best friend rather than a group of lively 8-year-olds. They couldn't sleep at night because they hadn't brought a proper camping mat to lie on and suitable clothes to keep them warm during the night.
All right. I students, for like my own pupils, they like to say teacher is different from the usual audio that we listen to. Some audios, they give direct answers immediately, but that is not the case for SPM because you will never ever hear the exact sentence. You have to listen, you have to interpret, and you have to link it to the given answers. All right, so let's look at the answers for speaker 1 and 2. So speaker 1, she mentioned that, mom booked a camp near the mountains or something, and then she always go mountain biking. It did wonders for her fitness level. So obviously it is F, made her feel healthier. As we mentioned, the answers are never direct. So you have to interpret, listen, interpret, and say, oh, F is the answer. And then for speaker 2, he said a lot of things, okay, but towards the end of it, then you catch the answer. He said that he is certain to go back, this time not with the children, but he'll go back with his friends. Okay, now going to the last part. I realize I'm eating into the Q&A time, sorry, but let me just finish off the last part. Okay, so for part 4, we are listening to a long conversation between 2 people. Oh my God, the line is not nice. Okay, and then again, listen for details, not for just, especially for this part, you listen for the exact one keyword, certain parts for, I mean, let's look at the example. Yeah, certain parts for each of it, they can give you two answers. You can listen, you can catch two answers for it, but one is the only correct answer. So you have to listen carefully. Usually my pupils always say, oh no, first round I did not catch which one is the answer. So by the second round of playing, they must catch the correct answer already. All right. For this part, I have 1 minute to read through the questions. And if you are fast enough, kalau cukup cepat, okay, I will always recommend my pupils to tag it, whether it's a noun, is a verb, is it an adjective, or is it an adverb. This helps you to identify better which is exactly which one is the answer. And then remember, it's only a one word answer only. As you can see here, 11 and 11, both are accepted. Yeah, both are accepted. But I mean, if you can write 1, why you want to spell 11 out? Then you spell it wrongly, and then you got it wrong. I always tell my pupils, please just write down the numerical value. Just write it down. And then for this thing, the s, the d, and the ng sound, certain words you have to catch it right, because the speakers, they say in a way, whether it's a plural form, the s, or is it the verb with the present tense tag, or is it the past tense, or is it an ing word, the ng sound. So all this you have to be careful. These are some of the things that you should be careful of. So now let's go to the sample question. Because we do not have enough time, so probably I'll just play half of the audio only. Okay, so you hear a talk by a woman called Kelly, and she ran a long distance, oh no, hiking route from the top of New Zealand, running down. Okay, and then as I mentioned just now, we need to tag each of it, tag the supposed answer. So Kelly trained for running the long pathway near where her lives. I mean, here you can roughly guess it's someone, right? It's near where her someone lives. So you just put it down, someone. And then Kelly took her what with her, right? To provide practical support. Maybe it's someone, maybe it's something, we don't know, right? Okay. Maybe the someone can provide practical support, or the something can provide the practical support. We don't know. We have to listen for it. And then uses the word what to describe the beaches she ran along. So obviously this is an adjective to describe the beaches. So this is what I mean. You need to tag it, and then when you listen, oh, that's the answer already. The hardest day of the run was when Kelly lost her water, what? I'm going to say it feels like water bottle, right? It could be the answer, we don't know. But maybe she puts her water in something else. Okay. Kelly says she enjoyed running in the beautiful what? Somewhere, right? Somewhere. Running in the beautiful what? For part of the route, Kelly did a trip in a something for 128 kilometers. Did a trip in something. Maybe a transportation, we don't know, right? Okay, Kelly was amazed by that she saw, something that she saw, maybe a nice view, maybe, I don't know, we have to listen. And then use a ferry to cross from the north to south island because of so this is an adjective definitely to describe the winds. Could be strong winds, right? We don't know. And then despite training well, she still had issues with her swollen. Definitely, you can say this is a body part near the end of the race. Near the end of the race, one of her body parts very swollen. Whether it's the feet, whether it's the ankle, we don't know. Takkanlah hand kan? We don't know. Okay. Kelly says she felt what? The feeling adjective. When she finally got to the finish line. All right, so for obvious reasons, I'll be playing half of the audio only.
Hi, I'm Kelly, and I'm here to talk about a long distance run I did in New Zealand. It's called the Long Pathway, and it starts at the top of the North Island and goes all the way to the bottom of the South Island. That's 3,000 kilometres. My love of running started when I was 9, when my brothers and I used to go running on my grandparents' farm. I've done marathons close to my parents' home for years, but I had to do some serious training before attempting the Long Pathway. I went to stay with a cousin who lives on the edge of a desert, an ideal place to prepare. Before I left, my best friend set up a website for family and colleagues to follow my progress. My neighbour accompanied me on the trip. She helped with equipment, met me at various points to deliver more food, and was generally my helper. My husband loves running too, but he couldn't get time off work for this trip. The Long Pathway takes you through varied landscapes, starting in the tropical region of the North Island and ending in the somewhat rainy south. Part of the route involves running on beaches. These were deserted, which couldn't have been more different to the beaches where I live. Those are crowded with sunbathers and noisy with people on jet skis and those playing volleyball on the sand. It was a completely new experience for me. It took 2 months to complete the run, and there were a few issues along the way. One of my trainers came off in a stream. I managed to retrieve it, but my sock was very wet that day. I can't tell you how many pairs of sunglasses I broke. The most challenging thing was when I dropped my water bottle. I could have got dehydrated and been really ill, but luckily I had enough fruit to keep me going. Normally I'm not bothered by rain, but running in the New Zealand rainforests, which were incredibly humid, slowed my progress. Undoubtedly, the highlight for me was crossing the mountains. They were so beautiful. I also had to run through some pretty muddy farmland, which isn't something I'd care to repeat. On the Long Pathway, there's a section in the North Island that's 128 kilometres long, where the path disappears and the route goes down a river. At this point, some people take a canoe to cover the distance, which is what I did. Others head for the nearest road and catch a bus to pick up the route further south, but I decided against that.
All right, so I just stop here and then we go back to the front and we listen again.
Hi, I'm Kelly, and I'm here to talk about a long-distance run I did in New Zealand. It's called the Long Pathway, and it starts at the top of the North Island and goes all the way to the bottom of the South Island. That's 3,000 kilometres. My love of running started when I was 9, when my brothers and I used to go running on my grandparents' farm. I've done marathons close to my parents' home for years, but I had to do some serious training before attempting the Long Pathway. I went to stay with a cousin who lives on the edge of a desert, an ideal place to prepare. Before I left, my best friend set up a website for family and colleagues to follow my progress. My neighbour accompanied me on the trip. She helped with equipment, met me at various points to deliver more food, and was generally my helper. My husband loves running too, but he couldn't get time off work for this trip. The Long Pathway takes you through varied landscapes, starting in the tropical region of the North Island and ending in the somewhat rainy south. Part of the route involves running on beaches. These were deserted, which couldn't have been more different to the beaches where I live. Those are crowded with sunbathers and noisy with people on jet skis and those playing volleyball on the sand. It was a completely new experience for me. It took 2 months to complete the run, and there were a few issues along the way. One of my trainers came off in a stream. I managed to retrieve it, but my sock was very wet that day. I can't tell you how many pairs of sunglasses I broke. The most challenging thing was when I dropped my water bottle. I could have got dehydrated and been really ill, but luckily I had enough fruit to keep me going. Normally I'm not bothered by rain, but running in the New Zealand rainforests, which were incredibly humid, slowed my progress. Undoubtedly, the highlight for me was crossing the mountains. They were so beautiful. I also had to run through some pretty muddy farmland, which isn't something I'd care to repeat. On the Long Pathway, there's a section in the North Island that's 128 kilometres long, where the path disappears and the route goes down a river. At this point, some people take a canoe to cover the distance, which is what I did. Others head for the nearest road and catch a bus to pick up the route further south, but I decided against that.
All right, let us just stop here and we skip entirely 27 to 30. So pupils, you can type down what do you think are the answers: 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. While you are typing, so I think we can just continue with the answers already. Okay, so as I mentioned just now, for each of the slots, you can listen to either one or two or more answers, and you have to decide which is the correct answer. Okay, so let's go. So she mentioned at first she went running near the grandparents' house, right? And then the parents, and then to train for the long pathway, she moved to where the cousin lives, okay? And then the best friend set up the website to support her, right? And then she mentioned that the neighbor is the one who followed to provide practical support. Can you imagine you follow your neighbor to support her marathon run? I can't. I don't. Okay, next we continue on. The word deserted. She also mentioned other adjectives like noisy and so on, but the correct answer here is deserted. Okay, in BM is tabia, not really anyone there at the beaches there. So it's like, oh, she's alone running there. It's a new experience, right? She mentioned. And then she lost her water bottle. She also broke a few sunglasses and so on. Anyways, we continue on. Oh. Sorry, sorry, people. There's an S here. So she enjoyed running in the beautiful mountains. And then she also mentioned the farmland, the muddy farmland. But that's not the answer. The correct answer is this one, mountains. And the last one, for part of the route, which was, she mentioned two transportation, right? Whether it's the canoe or the bus. Canoe is the correct answer. Bus is not the correct answer. So that's it for part 4. So I'm here to remind you that, let me just go back to the slide just now. It is a very long conversation. I recommend that pupils tag whether it's the noun, verb, adjective, adverb, and then it's a one word only. Careful of the s, d, and ng sound. All right. Before we end the session, let me just go to one more slide. So, sorry, let me. Hey, what happened there? Sorry. Okay. I think you can still see this. Okay. So, many pupils and teachers included, they always ask, where can I find similar practices to the ones that I showed just now? It's actually exactly this thing, Cambridge English First. That was the old name. Now it's known as B2 First. Okay, if you go to YouTube, you can just type this FCE listening test. But be careful, yeah. The part 2 and part 4, it's swapped. It's swapped over. So there's a lot of practices online in YouTube. You can go and try it out. And you can follow this upper link. You can, it leads you to 3 practice sets that I already rearranged according to the supposed SPM paper. Okay, so you can just go through it. You can print out the questions, you listen to the audio, and then you write down the answers. Then you check the answers. But for tonight, I guess you can go and try out this Google form. It's 10 questions for part 4. Yeah, I think that's it, Madam. The Q&A, right?
I still want to listen to you.
Hey. I just stopped the screen share, right?
Yeah, that was so engaging.
I was like, oh no, not enough time.
I wish we have longer time for you, but yeah. So thank you so much, Madam Hii, for that very valuable and practical sharing. I believe most of us, or I believe many of our audience, have picked up winning strategies that we can apply in our classroom, and also for our students, I believe they have gained winning tips from you, from your sharing. Likewise, I too, I think I can sit for SPM now after
Oh,
listening to you,
wow.
because for me it's very practical and doable. Yeah. So we'll have our Q&A session, but before that, I would like to remind our audience that we will share the registration link for your attendance record. So please make sure to fill it in. And we will also share a link to Padlet where you can write your reflection, which is very important as it shows active participation and help us strengthen our NELCoNS activity. And lastly, we do have NELCoNS Facebook page. So don't forget to follow us on Facebook so that you can receive updates for our upcoming webinars in this series. So now let's move on to our Q&A session. So for the audience, if you still have questions, feel free to type them in the live chat. Okay, so I guess we will be reading questions from the audience. So can we have the question on the screen, please?
We could highlight the question papers. I think it's okay, but you raised a question too. I think it's dangerous, huh? Let me take back my one. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Let's just circle or underline the question. Okay, that's safer, right? Just in case you accidentally highlight the answer sheet. So yeah, I think it's dangerous. Better don't. Sorry, yeah, sorry. Let me take back my words, and we just use pencil only for the entire exam.
In case they use the what was it, highlight pen, highlight marker.
Highlight jawapan. Oh no, that would be dangerous. Sorry. Let me take back. We just circle or underline the keywords.
So the safe is we just use pencil lah kan. Okay, so next question.
Question 21. If example it's in plural, but I write in singular, pen instead of pens, is it still correct? No. Sorry. No, it's wrong. Careful, careful.
Okay.
Capital letter, but I write in small. That one is acceptable. It's not an issue. Wrong spelling is wrong. Capital or small letter, that one is still acceptable. Because we look at the spelling, not the capital letters or not.
Okay.
Is it better to take notes while listening, or should I focus complete? That one, it's up to you. If you can write fast enough, like for example, I also write down. It's okay. So I write down because I'm fast enough. So I write down what I listen to double confirm. Oh, that is the answer. But if you are not confident, if you think that if I write it down, oh, it affects my focus, then don't. You follow your own what you think is better for you, because you have developed a habit already. The habit since Form 4 until now, you stick with that same habit. You don't try to suddenly change it. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any more questions? Yeah.
Oh, I think this one is the same one as just now.
Yeah.
Small letter, capital letter is both okay, no issues.
As long as the spelling is correct.
Yeah, spelling is correct. Would be the more important thing.
Okay, I think that's all the questions from YouTube chat. From the audience. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all from the audience.
All right.
I was writing too. I was jotting down notes and I was listening to you. Oh, there is another one, madam. Any tips for paper 1?
Hey, paper 1. Paper 1 is reading. For me, I would say if you have the access, you go and buy I don't have it right now, the past year questions, because I realized that some of the words, it reappears. Like 2021, 22, 23, 24, you can see certain words reoccur. So you go and complete the past year question paper and you will catch the ideas. And then for reading, I will always recommend students to read the questions first. Imagine you are not reading for like baca untuk nilam. You are not reading for fun already. You are reading to score. That's why you read the questions first. Then you go to the text to find the answers instead of just blindly reading. Mana jawapannya? No, that's not the way. You read the questions first, then go to the text, then find the answer. That would be my tip.
We have
One more question. Free but write as free? No, it's not acceptable. I'm so sorry. How can I deal with unfamiliar accents or fast speakers? To this question, yes, I have a lot of pupils asking me also. I can only tell you deal with it. You have to deal with it because you have to, because they will not, you have no say, but you can't say, slow the audio. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to catch up to the pace. And I gave the link just now. There are 3 more practices, or you can go YouTube, find the FCE listening. Listen, try more, and you will get the hang of it. Don't worry, you still have time. You still have 1 week. It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks before they listen. There's enough time. So you just have to practice more. Can we get the exact audios? Yeah, through the link just now.
The QR code that Madam Hii showed actually will give you more practice, more audio for practice. Yeah.
3 sets of practices. Yeah.
Okay. Any more
I
questions?
think that's it.
Okay. I think there is no more question. So what is my takeaway from this is, do not waste any time. Do not waste any
Really?
time while you are sitting for your listening test. Time is very important. No time should be wasted. You should use your time to read the question. So pre-listening is very important. It's very important that you read all the question first before the audio plays, so that you know what to look for when you are listening to the audio. That is what I get from the sharing. Okay.
Yes.
So okay, I see one. I feel like I want to show this question. I feel bad not showing this. Okay, let's show this.
Is a story paper 2 part 3 is that easy? This is my personal opinion. For the part 3, there are 3 questions, right? Story is actually the hardest because you must get the tenses right. The story must be very interesting, and there are very specific criteria. They will list down for the story, for example, the past year questions as a strange object that created chaos and how he eventually got rid of it. So there are specific things you have to achieve for story. So in my opinion, it's actually not that easy. And then it should follow the plot, the starting, the rising action, the climax, falling, and then the conclusion, the ending. And then the cohesive devices for the story is different as well. You are supposed to use the time time sequence connectors. It's not that easy actually. So to this question, I would say no, not really. Because, oh yeah, one more thing. You have to use a lot of advanced words, the adjectives, the verbs, and so on. You can't just say I eat, they eat, she eat, they ate. You're supposed to use the words like gobble, munch, all these interesting words. So is it easy? I would say no. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's easy too. I don't feel it easy at all. Okay, so I think there's no more question. So yeah. So for the audience, the registration form and Padlet links are being shared in the live chat by our technical team. So do check them out. So before we wrap up the session tonight, Madam, any last word from you?
So listening isn't that hard. Just the practices that you usually do will help you to achieve it. Some would say, cikgu susah lah. Memang. It's hard, but you have to do the practices to reach it. I taught my school is a very big school. So just for information, it's 3,000 plus pupils. Yeah. So for each form, there are 17 classes. Yeah. So I taught the 17th class, and amazingly, last year, out of 30 plus students, 17 passed English, because even for the listening, they could do well because we have done enough practices for them to reach that goal. So to students that say, cikgu susah, yes, it's hard. But if you have done enough practice, you believe in yourself, you just go through it, you will reach it. So don't worry.
Yeah. So students, in there. We are almost at the end of the journey.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much again, Madam Hii. I wish we have longer time for you. I know that you still have many more to share, but yeah, we have time constraints. So on behalf of NELCoNS, I would like to sincerely thank you, Madam Hii, for your insightful sharing, and extend my gratitude to all of our audience for joining us this evening. So as a token of appreciation, let's enjoy this short video prepared to honor our speaker. Yeah, thank you again to Madam Hii, our speaker for tonight. So we are coming to the end of our session. So before we wrap up the session tonight, please remember to fill in the registration form, which has been shared by our technical team, and also write your reflection in the Padlet. This is very important for us to show engagement and impact, and also follow the NELCoNS Facebook page to stay updated on the next session in this webinar series. And in case you didn't manage to fill in all the links, you can copy all the links first and do it later. So we hope you find tonight's community of practice session beneficial, and I wish you all a pleasant evening, and we'll see you in our next webinar. So that's all for tonight. Good night, everyone. See you next time.